very much for that. Besides that, I think it's great when we have the Q&A. It's not that each one of us have similar priorities. It depends on the situation you're in. Contextually, also it matters. Plus, you may have begun something which I will keep speaking as I speak about my top 10 priorities. So the once you've started something, then taking it forward also becomes a priority for, maybe one or two sessions till something gets established. So it may not necessarily resonate with each one of y'all, but I think considering that we are all from the same space, there'll be many things that you it will resonate with you, and your discussion with me, your questioning to me, would be a learning for me to probably take down more of my priorities, which may just have gone off my radar as of now. So to start with my priorities for the year, um, AI has come up in a very big way. So there's nothing new about it, but it has been haunting me how to best use AI in schools, because there have been discussions all over about cognitive decay, etc., etc. I don't want to get into that. Okay, but I thought that it's very important for teachers at Sunbeam to be trained on the right use and integration of AI in education. Because if we don't do that, we will become irrelevant as teachers. It's very, very important. And I also did some research, read some research also, that children are using it. So if we as teachers don't use it, actually we will be left behind somewhere. So I just took up the plunge, and about 1,200 teachers of Sunbeam across, we got someone in from Bombay. He's an expert. We trained 1,200 teachers in AI. So right now, since the journey has already begun, my biggest priority is to take it forward. AI integration into education. And one or two important points in that also is it's not only teachers using it for self observation, something that I never knew we could do well. Assessments, etc., we have been doing, have been speaking about. But self observation by teachers through AI was something that we learned. And we've really taken it up in a very, very big way, that teachers self-observe themselves, which I think is the highest form of assessment rather than somebody else observing you. Let's get into a self-assessment mode. And they have been upscaling their own pedagogical practices through that. So that's been great. And the last part of AI that I want to speak about is what I mentioned was about the students. As a teacher, when we are using AI well, when we've kind of broken into, that cocoon and said, okay, we just need to get there and see what's happening, we understand our children's use of AI. We speak more about it. Children are excited. They find us cool. They find us more relevant, and we keep talking to the children, giving them ideas, which was hitherto not happening, because children thought teachers don't know. They could just be a little over smart about the whole thing. Now they know they can't take their teachers for a ride, and teachers have been talking about good ethical use of AI, because once you're in that space, confidence also goes up of the teachers. So AI is like positively, by all standards, our number one priority, and my personal number one priority for Sunbeam, and things that we're going to be taking forward. Another thing that has become a great priority is there have been so many incidences last year where there have been talk of physical spaces not being very safe. Okay, we've been talking about the social space. We will come to that part. But the physical space has come up in a very big way, of physical spaces not being too safe. There have been directives also. So we've really started going around, looking once again into our physical spaces, working once again into checking that there should be no corner, no area which is not really physically safe for the child. The attention was sometimes too much on the social emotional front, that the physical space somewhere got neglected. So this year, we've really got down to physical spaces becoming safe also, if there were areas left. And of course, there has been a lot of emphasis still, which has been on for some time, but I think it will never become irrelevant, which is the SEL part, the social emotional learning, the safety of children on the emotional front. That is 100% a priority, and we've been doing a lot of things for social emotional learning. One more part which we've really been working on is the well being of teachers. Again, it is not only the well-being of teachers in the emotional space, which I think is very important because teacher burnout is becoming a big issue throughout the country, and we've really had to address it. We felt that the teacher should get space to speak, space to unwind, space to go to the counselors and talk about their issues. So we've been really working on that. There's one more thing I wanted to mention, which we've really been doing. We've developed something called an educator's lounge in each of our schools. So it's kind of coming up. And that's a space. Again, I'm talking about the physical space for teachers. That's a space which is not their staff room. That's a space where they can go, listen to music, play games, chat with each other, do whatever they want, watch television. We have internet there, so they can do just whatever they want. We wanted to create a space where the teachers can unwind. So the physical unwinding of a teacher and even the social unwinding or the emotional unwinding, I would say, social connect and the emotional unwinding, that's been a huge priority for us because we could feel that even though the teachers weren't mentioning, but the burnout was very visible, and it's really brought all of them back. They seem happier. They seem that, that half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour that they spend there, when they go to the class after that, oh, they're absolutely changed, so much more relaxed, which is something that we love. The third priority is admin, and I'm specifically talking about admin because teachers we have been working on admin and teacher upscaling. That's something that can't stop because in the educational space, there's been so much of change and such quick paced change that unless and until we keep moving with the times, getting our teachers trained, also asking our teachers to invest in themselves and really appreciating them for anything new that they've learned and they try, schools really don't move in the right direction. So admin and teacher upscaling has been another big priority for us, which was already there and it still continues. It's pretty high on our priority list. Parent involvement is another thing that we have always been speak about even now, parent involvement and feedback. But this year, actually, from the last year to this year again, there's a slight, another dimension, I would say, that we've added. Possibly, I think, I don't want to say that the only, but I think a few schools that have thought about this dimension, which we call the grandparents' cove. So there was a problem of teachers because parents are working. It never used to be in Varanasi earlier when both the parents were working. But we have that now. There are women who are stepping out, they're working, and I'm so happy about it. So teachers used to complain about, having a difficulty in connecting with the parents because most of the time they were busy. And there were some small issues which they were trying to solve, but they just couldn't connect and they didn't know whom to get in touch with. So then the idea came up, why not talk to grandparents? Because grandparents now are active, are smart, educated, and connected. And maybe this would have been an opportunity to connect the children with their grandparents more and give a purpose also to the grandparent. So we started something called a grandparents cove. And now every information that we sent to the parents, we translate it in the vernacular. So both the parents, of course, and the grandparents get all information of the school. If we have a forum for parents, even grandparents are invited. If we have PTMs, or what we call CPDDs in our school, even the grandparents are invited. So for everything, we haven't kept now the grandparents connect with the school only as a grandparents day. They are involved every day. And I can't tell you what a world of difference it's made for the parent, for the grandparent, and for the school. Our life has also become easier. So I'm really, really working more and more to get more and more grandparents into the Grandparents Cove, and working hard towards that. Another thing that we've been doing, maybe because now we're a 54-year-old institution, and we thought that certain policies, systems, fine, they're running, but not everything was well documented. So this year, the priority has been of getting everything down, the school systems and the policies documented in written form. Because we felt that till the time we don't document things, schools scaling, if you want to, kind of start more schools, if you want to grow, and for the school system to run, because one leader goes, the other comes. Obviously, there's always a change. The new leader has a problem in understanding how things are to be run, and what is it that should be done. And there could be some simple things that they would struggle with. So we've got everything now documented, everything down in written form, and it is handed over to all the principals, all stakeholders. Not stakeholders, I wouldn't say not everything goes to the parents, but to all principals and all the leaders. So it's become so much easier to scale, it's become so much easier to standardize things and make things work. Another priority, which I think is the sixth one, still remains as assessments. In fact, assessments are probably one of the what we call the de facto curriculum. It's very, very important to have the assessments in the right way. It has to be diagnostic. It has to be analyzed. It has to see. We have to see to it that it's gap filling. We have to see to it that it's not threatening. It's low stake, and another important aspect that we've brought in now is assessment, not only of learning and for learning, even as learning. So, self reflection in assessments has become a very, very important part of the schooling system. So, every test the children take, they have to self assess before they submit the paper. And the teachers have to go through it and have a brief discussion with the children. Because what we learned was children are happy getting assessed by the world. And then I don't think there's enough of resilience to take in every kind of feedback, but they don't know how to assess themselves. So, the biggest, probably highest form of assessment is self assessment, because you'll not always have somebody sitting on your head to tell you what's right, what's wrong. You first have to tell yourself whether you think it's right or it's not. So, self assessment or assessment as learning has become a big priority also for us. As time has been going by, with AI coming in, character building, absolutely top of the charts. That is what we are really training our children for. Content is not the king anymore. So, character building, how is it, going to be rolled out? Do we have, it's not just about doing ethics or talking to them. It's about the exemplary part of the on the part of the teachers. It's about showing it to them through movies, through storytelling, through case studies, to everything that we do. They're going to be talking about the values and the ethics, so that your character is really high. Anything that you face in life, you should know you can't bend down to anything that's wrong. So we keep talking about character building, and there are two things that we have special emphasis on. One that I just kind of mentioned, resilience, because children have become so soft that at the drop of a hat they're ready to take their lives, and I wonder why. It's nothing is worth it, nothing on earth is worth this. So sometimes it's important that we even talk to the parents, and the teachers do express the vitamin N, which is the vitamin no, because unless and until the no doesn't come in, resilience doesn't get built. So that's one part of character which we are specifically aiming at. And the other is gratitude. Children today do not have an attitude for gratitude. So while we are concentrating on character building, gratitude and resilience are two important parts of building a character in students. One another aspect is increasing student agency, because children now have to be active participants in their own learning, not just passive recipients of what is being transacted in the classroom. So, whatever we do, whether it is when you plan, you have to keep this in mind. How much is going to be a student's participation and talk time versus a ratio of a teacher's talk time and things that the teacher would be doing. The student talk time, student participation ratio, a percentage has to be high. That also comes up in the self observation that the teachers are doing. They keep this in mind so that children enjoy what they are doing. They learn, they take agency because they realize that it's they who are learning. It's not somebody teaching them. It has to be my own effort and my agency in my learning. That's important. We have started a reading program because I think that's a national concern. Children are reading less. So we have something called the reading program where we have a lead knowledge facilitator who assesses children on their reading levels without really, kind of demarcating them as it's not demeaning if you're a beginner level reader. So you may be beginner, you may be middle, you may be advanced. The whole library has been redesigned and put together in terms of, again, advanced, middle, and beginners. Children are then guided, they are motivated to read their level books. There's a lot of storytelling. We have new journals and what the children have to write in. So that's like a reading program. I don't want to go ahead with everything, but reading, which is going out of the window, the skill is pretty much at a loss. We are trying to get reading back in a bang, bang, bang way. In the same breath, I want to say what we started, which is again a priority because we're building on it. All our libraries have become community libraries. So in the evening, the library is open for the whole community. Anybody, just about anybody, can sit down there and read. Even if you don't belong to Sunbeam, it doesn't matter. A parent, a family member, a child from anywhere can come and make use of the huge treasure trove that we have of knowledge in the library. So, community library with the reading program is something that is absolutely top of the charts for us. And there are a lot of parents who come who just sit down and read. So reading has become something that we're really taking it up not only in our school, but trying to take it up for the whole city because we think that's something that we owe it back to Varanasi. Sustainability, again, something that we are really, really working towards. So what we had done 2 years back, moving, because every year we try and relook into it, every chapter has been integrated, has been mapped to any particular, SDG where it is where it can be mapped with. So, for example, if in English literature we would do a chapter where there's a child who comes from a poor background. I'm just giving a very simple example. Then we would go back to SDG 2, map that chapter to SDG 2, which is zero hunger, and we would talk about the mapping would be so done that children would understand that anything you do has to be looked through the lens of sustainability, so that sustainability is not an event, it's a way of life for every child. We are trying to build that last thing because this is now the 11th, but I wanted to speak about it because I've been doing a lot of reading and really trying to work on this in the school. Usually, people think curiosity and wonder is only for the little children. What I've researched and read is curiosity and wonder is for every human being. So we are trying to get curiosity and wonder into everything we try and do with the children. Because if you really want to hook them, anchor them, get curiosity into everything you plan, and children will just fall in love with whatever you're teaching them. So these were my priorities for the year. I did mention 11, should have mentioned 10, but I've attempted to speak about all that's in my mind and share it with everyone. Thank you.
Fine, absolutely. In fact, array of thing which is widely well covered, I would say. More or less every every stakeholder is duly covered. I would say I was not anticipating the kind of focus you have for the grandparents as well, which is fabulous. And I think what the last point was about curiosity. I think there's these keywords which get highlighted everywhere, which are top of the mind for leaders like Mrs. Burman. I was very recently listening to 𝐷𝒓𝒊𝒐𝒏 Patnaik, in fact. So 𝐷𝒓𝒊𝒐𝒏 Patnaik emphasized on this very term that before nurturing classrooms full of curious children, we should have curious teachers. We should have curious leaders. They should read, they should question everything, because once you have that in you, your classroom will automatically have their curiosity, basically. And that is what Mr. 𝐷𝒓𝒊𝒐𝒏 Patnaik emphasized, that as we go top of the ladder, we become ourselves less curious in life. So I think that's a great point which you have mentioned. While it may come as a low denominator point, but it's a fabulous point, which I personally feel people overlook it. We do not put emphasis on it. And that is very, very important. Fantastic. I just have one question, Mrs. Burman, with you, and then I'll pass it on to everybody else, because we did not keep this as a format of Q&A, but I have just one question. Given there's so much of talk around skill development, and this is now not just a conversation at the school level, this is a global phenomena, and we are seeing the repercussions of it, I would say the fallout of it. Have you seen, or is there one of your maybe focal point at your level, which is that when we talk about the very definition of today's aptitude for a kid, that aptitude is taking a little more, I would say, different dimension, what I call it, the aptitudinal spectrum. And when I say academic aptitude is not the only aptitude which I'm judging for you, and there are many things, but the fact is there is no formal inclusion, at least I see, wherein institutions put other aptitude at the same ladder as an academic aptitude of a student. And somehow when that is not done and it is not measured, it is not really one which pursues it in a career format or in a skill development format. So what is your, I know it's a very I'm myself nurturing with this idea with my own head, basically, and I have been reading few stuff around this. So I just want your very raw, maybe you don't have a very structured view on it, but love to hear from you that at the Sunbeam, how do we see aptitude beyond just an academic aptitude? Well, every institution does that, but is there a very formal way of looking at it, or informally it is looked after? Yeah.
So I'm going to try and answer this in two ways. One,
Yeah.
because you also spoke about skill somewhere.
Correct.
Aptitude and skills are two different things.
Correct.
In fact, I would like to mention three things. Aptitude, skill, and competency are three different things. Speak about that later in 2 minutes, I will, because that's also
sure. Please. Love to hear that.
I think, leaders to understand.
Yeah.
But when you talk about, particularly at Sunbeam, what do we do for aptitude? I don't know whether it's just about aptitude. It's aptitude and interest. So aptitude and interest of a child is always gathered only when you have a choice given to children and a freedom given to children to choose what they have an aptitude for and what they have an interest for. It starts with interest, because aptitude can always be honed and grown. But if I don't have an interest towards something, probably my aptitude may not grow. So at Sunbeam, there are two things. One, we give children choices, and lot of choices, and freedom to do what they want. And even at Sunbeam, we are, you know what we do? We don't, when you talk about academics and aptitude, that also you mentioned, we call our otherwise things that people do, which the world calls extracurricular, even higher education, even DU calls it as extracurricular. They have the ECA quota. So we do not call it extra. At Sunbeam, there is no concept of extra. There is no concept also of co. It's parallel. So if your academics is one stream, your parallel curriculum, which the world calls extra, is actually as important as academics. Why I'm particularly telling this is otherwise, children who take up sports, who take up anything else where they have an interest and you build their aptitude for, they are looked down upon at some stage, specifically when children's board results and marks and all are out, because they're made to feel, oh, you were not good enough, you couldn't do this and therefore you were pushed towards doing something else. No,
Correct.
not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Both are given equal importance. We
Mm-hmm.
would give you scholarships for that. We would give you recognition for that. We would help you so that your academics also run pretty fine. You don't have to top everything. You're top there, you're okay here. I hope I'm clear. The other thing I wanted to speak about is the aptitude. I thought was a little clear. Aptitude can be built, even
Mm-hmm.
skill can be built, even competency can be built. All
Mm-hmm.
three can be. But
Mm-hmm.
what's important to know, sometimes we get a little confused. Skill plus knowledge plus attitude, these three things, when they combine, they
Mm-hmm.
become a competency.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a skill, and then uh, uh, I have a knowledge for it. Okay, that means I'm taught a theory, etc. I've
Mm-hmm.
told more about it. Then it becomes my attitude and disposition, which means you also teach me the motivation to get up and do something. I may know a lot of things, but I don't have the motivation or the disposition to get up and do it. Okay, so when all these three things combine, they become a competency. So when we talk about the problem solving or creativity or communication, these are all competencies. They are supposed to be built by good planning by a teacher. So the way we look at a learning outcome when we make our lesson plan, we are also at that stage supposed to see what is a competency with that we are building, and that is what should be assessed. When we say competency based assessment, कौन सी कॉम्पिटेंसी को मेरे को कवर करना है, इसको सिखाना है, और फिर मेरे को अपने क्वेश्चन को उस हिसाब से असेस करना है. सो अगर प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग की, तो क्या मैंने एक छोटा सा केस स्टडी दिया या कोई प्रॉब्लम दी बच्चे को टू फाइंड आउट वेदर द चाइल्ड इज बीइंग एबल टू सॉल्व अ प्रॉब्लम. सो I don't know, I hope I'm not getting too technical here, but the fact remains that competencies are usually mistaken for skills. Skills are a part of competencies. Competency is the higher level of it, and that's what even the board is talking about, the whole country is talking about today.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I'm a student to this subject right now, and which is why I think this will give me a little more direction. But the only submission I have for everyone who is joining us, which I think Mrs. Burman alluded to, is that let us please make a very conscious effort, ladies and gentlemen, that we'll have to see array of aptitudes in our students' life, basically, because gone are the times when only and only academic excellence or academic aptitude was of relevance. But why I'm emphasizing it purely, I'll tell you that not just as only that this is something which we are doing at an institution. Please keep some measurable yardstick, or there has to be a very proper structure to it in order to have any fruits which you will see in the longer run. Because otherwise, if today I ask anyone, which is example, are you doing this? Everyone will say, yes, we are doing it. But the moment you go a little deeper, how are you doing it? Sadly, then I personally feel it is a little ambiguous for that matter, right? So that is what I think our discussion was about. But now I open the house for Q&A. We have still good odd 32 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, please, you'll have to show us a virtual show of hand. We'll help you unmute, and then you can ask your question. My only request is that we'll keep our focus of the discussion intact, which is that either you will share with us what you have in mind with respect to priorities, or you can have a subsequent question to what Ms. Burman deliberated on. Jaswantji, you have a question, please go ahead. And just give a brief introduction as to where you are joining us so that everyone gets to know you a little better. Jaswant.
I am speaking from Modern Public School, Bhiwadi. I'm working there as headmistress of the school.
Sure.
Ma'am, I just wanted to know, somewhere you mentioned on the day of PTM, you invite grandparents also. That is very good gesture. I want to know the term. You use some term, NBT, something like that, which I couldn't hear.
Yeah. So I told you CPTD. We don't call it a PTM. We call it a child parent teacher dialogue,
Okay,
because
okay,
all
okay.
stakeholders are important to be a part of a child's development. So the first is the child and his goal. The teacher is, of course, there as a facilitator, as a mentor, and the parent is an important stakeholder. So we call it the CPTD.
Okay, okay, very nice. And second thing, you somewhere mentioned that you have 3 levels of books in library.
Yeah.
Same way, we have also started this practice, and it is really working. And I have seen that the interest in the children, it's being increased.
Yeah.
And every month we honor the children,
Mhm.
the
Right.
one who has read maximum number of books. 3 levels we have kept in the library: first level, second level, and third level. In first level, we have kept 30 books, then 20, then 10. This way we have done. Thus, very much similar the way you were saying beginner and middle and advanced group.
The
Okay,
only thing
thank
is
you
that
so very much.
we judge children, we test them, and they can read only what they've been tested at, and they can also be tested at any time to improve their level. So I may have started
Yeah,
with beginners, but nobody feels demeaned because they know they have to work hard. And once they work hard from beginner, they can always go to middle or advanced as they keep
yeah,
progressing.
yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Ms. Shefali, go ahead.
Very good evening, ma'am. It's always a pleasure to listen to you.
Thank you.
You're very crisp and to the point, and you make it quick. I just wanted to ask you one thing. You were talking about documentation, and so my worry is that when we are scaling up, what do you think are the things that we need to keep in mind? Because when you're scaling up, that's the most dangerous time, I feel, because that's the time when you can really make mistakes.
Yeah.
So just wanted to have your insight on that.
So, at Sunbeam, we didn't scale for many years, let me tell you. For many years, we didn't. We did, do a little bit of work, whatever we did, spreading out in Varanasi itself. But when it came to spreading out of Varanasi, it took us many years because we felt first get your house in order, get whatever you want to do and whatever you want to try, get it done first within your own institutions so that you make your mistakes here and you learn. That's one, which I think is very important for scaling. Scaling too soon may not be a very good idea. When you're ready, you should. Now, when it comes to documentation, well, I can't tell you how many policies there are. Whether it's assessment, whether it's hiring, whether it's training, whether it is transport. I mean, it's a huge dossier, okay? And the dossier has different policies to it. So when you ask how many or whatever, I think was the question, I can't tell you. Every aspect of the system, of the schooling system, from accounts to finance to everything has been documented. What used to work as, okay, it's a practice and it is going on, has now been documented. And it's not that the school wasn't running, it was then, but it's running much better. And it has become easier for the leaders. Leaders, where if you're a new principal, you would be able to read the document and nobody would be able to tell you that, I know it better than you. I'm not trying to say that you could be the best as the leader, but at least you're not in the dark when policies are put down. Plus, you as a principal of one school and the same brand opening at another place are going to be pretty much at par. It's a lot of a self-help that happens if policies are in place. So I mean, I can send you a list of I don't know how many policies we have, and it's still growing. And SCOF, for example, helped us with, oh, we have to do this policy also, so we are doing that too. So anything, and I'm down that, okay, let's sit down and let's make a policy out of it. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry. I think you had to say something. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you. That actually kind of gives a basic figure, but I think there's a lot of work involved. So
No,
I would want to reach out to you if that's
sure.
possible.
Anytime, anytime. Yes.
Miss Monica, my only request is please do introduce yourself. We get to know you a little better.
Hello, good evening. My name is Monica. I am the principal of Claris International School from Bangalore. I just want to understand, my school is a very new school. It's just 2-year-old school. So I just want to understand what all the priorities I have to take care in running the school in the initial period.
Well, I think whether it's a new school, of course, maybe, and I'm not again being too, what should I say, judgmental in saying that don't try innovation. Of course, I mean, you become a good school when there are certain innovations that are put right there, right in the beginning, because it creates a culture for the school. But I think it's always great to start small. If rather than complicating things, work on your staff, work on the culture. Actually, your first most important thing should be building a good culture for your school, because culture is something that will remain forever. So even if there is attrition, a teacher goes, a principal comes and goes, or whatever, the culture sees to it that the school is always held together and runs at a particular pace. That's important. So I think culture building is important. Work on your staff, do the right kind of hiring. You should have great teachers with the right attitude. Then you invest a lot in your teachers, all right? Build your teams. Students could be, your choice. I don't want to say anything, because you can have all kind of children, and every child, there's a smart child in every child. You always have hope. If your teachers are good, they'll manage. Another important thing, I think, is also getting your parents on board. Because when you build a culture, and if the parents are there with you right on board from the beginning, they are the biggest support. And especially when you're opening new schools do go through this journey of admissions. You need to be viable, you need to get a particular set of number to keep your school running. And parents are the biggest support. Reason is, when they are happy, when kids and parents are happy, the word of mouth advertisement for your school is the best advertisement that you can have. It's not only money saving, but it's absolutely rock solid feedback on what you're doing inside your school and in the classroom. So I think if you have these dimensions and verticals all in place, there are all chances that you'll be successful.
Yep, Miss Apurva.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Very good evening, sir. Very good evening, madam. So, first of all, we are really grateful for such an insightful session by an experienced and eminent educationist like you. I would just like to take your suggestion on one point. Like today, lot many changes are coming up in the education industry, right? So there are lot many challenges that our teachers are also facing, and we are also working regularly on their upskilling or teacher training programs. So here, my only question is, when we're talking about reading skills, how about reading skills of teachers? Like, do you feel that there should be a reading break of half an hour in the school wherein teachers are given an opportunity to read? Because when we try to bring change in our learners sitting in a classroom, I believe that change has to start from all of us, whether it be teachers or vice principals or principals or the leaders, right? So we all need to have that curiosity or whatever points you said. So I believe it has to start from us. So, how do you look at it, ma'am? Having a half an hour reading break for the teachers in the library? Yeah,
So
please.
we don't really have anything like a break for a teacher. I think that's a great suggestion. I'm not very sure how practical it is, but I don't want to say that it's impractical. Anything that's good should be woven in. But what do we do for reading? I completely agree with you that children, if you want them to read, it's the teachers who must read first. Because unless and until you don't read yourself, you can't really have a revolution when it comes to the kids. So what is it that we do? Um, I'm a little bit of a tough taskmaster. So So of course, I keep telling my teachers, read, 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 but they do read. Some of them, they begun to read. What we do is in our CPD plan, right? We have a 50-hour CPD plan. So we don't really follow exactly what is to be followed, to be very frank. We have our own CPD plan. Of course, we do our CBSE CPDs, but we have a lot of other things. One of them is reading. Teachers have to read a defined number and defined books, which are all research based in education. They have to, and they are assessed. They are assessed on that. So we make it a point, because if I just tell teachers, this is your half an hour break, go and read, I'm not very sure whether everybody will still read, because it is a habit that either has been formed many years back. Otherwise, it's a tough habit to inculcate at every stage of your life, to be very frank. It's a habit that you inculcate early in life. And it's not that you can never start reading later in life, but it is something that you fall in love with. Okay. So they have to read. That's one. Another thing that we do is the teachers have to. Now, these all have to, as I told you, that I'm a little tough on these.
Yes.
Have to carry, starting from the principal. Everybody carries a book in their hand throughout the day. So when I'm moving from one class to the other, when I, as a principal, am there in the assembly, I have to carry a book in my hand and pretty much try and read it. And I'm saying pretty much because sometimes they're also faking it. Okay. And we say it's okay. Not that I'm happy with it, but okay, why? First, if I want my kids to read, I want to tell them that, look, I'm reading. So this is the book in my hand. What I do is I go to the class, I keep the book with the spine facing the children. So the child, when we were talking about curiosity and wonder, the child comes and looks at the book and says, oh, ma'am, you're reading? Yes, I'm reading. So I could be reading Malcolm Gladwell. Okay. So he says, what book is this? So this is a book for my age. What are you reading, dear? Are you reading something of interest to you? Because I don't want that little kid to start reading a Malcolm Gladwell. He won't. But I can ask him a question. What are you reading?
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about the book? My 1 minute conversation with maybe one child is making the children curious to pick up a book and read, because he knows or she knows my teacher reads, and my teacher is my hero, someone I want to follow, and I should also want to read. I'll not only stop at reading. We make it a point, teachers do action research. That is also based on something that you've read or you make a difference to. And we make it a point that the teachers not only do research while they, do their everyday work, they are supposed to be contributing their action research in journals. So we're very, very particular that keep writing in journals, because still you don't get success with somebody else telling you that I got inspired by your research, what you did in the classroom. It doesn't really motivate you to do more and more of research in the class. So I just mixed up a few things to tell you that
Yes.
teachers, we are tough with them, that you have to do these things because you have to be the inspiration to your children.
Absolutely, ma'am. I believe that is the need of our, because when we talk about storytelling pedagogy also, if our teachers will know wonderful stories, then our students will actually learn those moral values, what we want to give them through the storytelling pedagogy. So it's wonderful hearing you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Amrita.
Wonderful question and equally well explained. I think that's a great idea. And in fact, it's a great hack, I would say.
It's a
That
hack.
when a teacher carries that book, it's a great hack. Absolutely brilliant. Ganesh Patel ji, your question, then Trilok ji makes a comeback. Good to see you.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, it was amazing. It is amazing and really many takeaways from your session. Ma'am, I would like to know more about the appointment of a separate teacher to assess the reading of the students, and how you spoke about your library. It's quite interesting. And will you please explain how you actually work? What is the modus operandi of finding the students and their level of reading?
So first is you spoke about a teacher. So Actually, my best English teacher, we motivated them. In fact, it wasn't very easy because a natural thing is that, oh, ma'am, I'm going to be losing a good English teacher. And I would say, no. What's important is we'll make the best English teacher who is really fond of reading, who has a passion into the LKF, because life will become easier for everybody else in the institution if we have a good teacher passionate about reading. So our
Right.
best English teacher were picked as lead knowledge facilitators, and we've actually got them trained. We've got into alliance with some people, and they have given us this idea. It is their reading program. We've trained our own people on it. We've invested, and no regrets on that. When it comes to testing, well, we have some testing cards that is also scientifically developed, and the LKFs have been trained on that. They keep using those cards. So it's a speed and a comprehension card. Okay. So
Okay.
say these are the number of words that you have to read in so many minutes, and have you comprehended or no. So when I read, then I can give the question in a time frame. Then you know that I am a beginner, or I am advanced, or I am middle level. So it's a scientifically developed card. There's a complete, what should I say? There's a complete kit, and
Oh, that's great.
and so that's how they test. They just don't go randomly testing. That won't be scientific at all.
Okay, ma'am, where can I get more information and where can we get these cards? Will you please help and guide us?
Yeah, I will. I'll inform Gaurav. I will. Of course,
Thank-
it's easily available. In fact, you can also do some research on Amazon. You'll probably get it.
I
I'll
will
send
surely.
you.
But
I'll
if
send
we
you.
if we can get your number, ma'am, we can speak with you also directly.
Gaurav has
With
everything.
Gaurav sir, kindly do the favor.
Yeah.
Thank
मैम
you,
ये
sir.
बोल रही है
Thank you,
थोड़ा
ma'am.
मेहनत आपको भी करना पड़ेगा। चलिए
अरे
कोई
श्योर
बात
सर,
कराते हैं
श्योर
कराते
सर।
हैं। चलिए त्रिलोक जी, गुड टू सी यू।
And Trilok ji is in Glendale these days. He's in Hyderabad.
अच्छा,
Yes.
वाह, त्रिलोक जी अनम्यूट करना होगा आपको।
A very good evening, everyone. Wishing a very happy new year to all the members of IPN here. Gaurav ji and Amrita ma'am, it's so wonderful hearing you. Every time I hear you, I feel, it's so mesmerizing. Just had one question which was coming and pondering, I just haunting me for last so many days that, we are doing a lot of work in the schools. We are teaching, we are implementing, implementation is happening in a very good way. But how to create knowledge in the system altogether? We are just transferring the knowledge which is already there from somewhere. We are just passing it on. So as our children to become the innovators and the people who can generate some kind of knowledge, how do we work on that? What should be the modus operandi in the school system where we can make our children the knowledge generators rather than just you know
Consumers.
carrying it forward kind of a thing from somewhere else. Yeah.
Right. So knowledge, as you rightly said, is available so easily everywhere that it's not about knowledge anymore. In fact, frankly, content or knowledge is available not only free, better, and at a child's pace. So if you only keep talking about knowledge, you're going to be irrelevant as a teacher. So what you actually need to concentrate on is what I did speak about. I don't know whether you were there or no, Trilokji, then, is the competency part. So if the teachers work on competency, another thing that I spoke about, curiosity, have children have their own agency, let them get involved, then they build on what they already know. That is the knowledge that they build for themselves. Because that's when the children learn not only observation, they also learn to infer, they also learn to defy the knowledge that they have, in which they probably just picked it up from an artificial intelligence. So when they do things, when they see things happening, when they work in groups, when ideas are challenged, it is only then that they create their own knowledge. And I think it's too broad. I think that's what all good education and teaching is about. The teaching learning process is all about that today. So I don't think I can tell you anything more. You know a lot yourself, but I think there's a lot that we need to train our teachers on. If teacher training on the way things are be taken forward in the classroom is not done well, you will have this issue. And technology
Exactly.
can really help you. Let me tell you, AI is brilliant if you use it the right way.
Right, ma'am. Right. Thank you so much for the insights. Yes, I think the mindset of the teacher has to be changed first of all, and that will be the beginning of the change altogether. If we change we always work on student agency. We talk about the voice and choice for the children, but then the teacher's voice and choice also matters a lot in the school
Yes,
system.
yes, yes. That's the main catalyst, let me tell you. It's the teacher.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you, Garuji.
Yeah.
So, still 10 minutes, and I think this is a fantastic opportunity. Please have a question or have an observation you want to add to it. We would love to hear from each one of you. Right. I see a lot of you who are nodding, which is that it's going good so far. But right, because I may be tempted to ask a question, but I really want your questions to be taken up first. Anyone with anything which is as per you, which you are doing as a best practice in your institution, maybe which you can like to share with us. I mean, we would love to hear from you. Yeah. In the meantime, I'm just quickly outlining. We do not provide certificates for these sessions, ladies and gentlemen. So please do not put this on the chat window, provide certificate or all that stuff. Please, sadly, you'll have to go to the wrong session, or you're in the wrong session if you're waiting for certificates. Next time you may have a wise investment 1 hour of anywhere else. I think we have a couple of questions. Anandji, please go ahead.
Hello, ma'am. Very nice listening to your session. Like I was thinking that, I thought like I will also be just a listener and leave. Generally, we do in all the programs. Uh, I am very, I say a lot of truths. That's my secret. No, I have my own papers. I have my own papers. I have listed out near about 55 to 60 points, which Madam has told. I think it's an eye-opening one. But as per the discussion, I would like to share an insight which I prioritize in my school as a principal. I have worked for a school called I basically from Tamil Nadu. It is a three-tier school where three-tier area where children are not given physical development, especially for the girl children. Because I don't want to mention what type of area they belong to, but the most of the time they cover their faces, they cover themselves, and which has a problem with, as you said, it's not vitamin N, it is vitamin D. So what we have decided is we decided that I have to take it to the next level. So I have introduced children to cycle. I have got near about, I purchased 20 to 30 cycles in my school, and I have told my all the teachers that if you do not cycle or pedal along with the children, and you will have a loss of pay will be given to you. So I could see at the end of the year, and my teachers, I'm proud enough to say that near about 400 girls were taught how to ride a cycle, and eventually I have implemented the physical development. So I think nowadays plays very important role. Earlier days, like father used to teach how to cycle, especially for girls. Nowadays place is a constraint that they are unable to do it. So I think school is also responsible for not only for an emotional development. We talk about emotional development, but I think that physical development also should enhance, or should be given as a priority, especially in schools apart from scholastic areas which we regularly talk about. So this is what my insight is all about. Thank you very much.
I think Mrs. Burman did mention about the physical part of as in development, I think, and I'm sure you are doing a fabulous work, whatever you are doing, Mr. Anand. Right. I have few more questions which I have to quickly take up, and I'll go to Santosh Kumar Chaturvedi ji, go ahead. Then we'll go to Sambhu, then Trupti. We'll come to you, and then last question will be Miss Pooja Pandey. That's it. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Ma'am, good evening and Jain, ma'am.
Good evening.
You talked about interest and aptitude, ma'am. And now the student have a knowledge platform everywhere. How to correlate the interest, aptitude, and expectation? Like the interest a student might be having in music, aptitude in mathematics, and due to the society, parent, grandparents, teachers also, they have expectation to become IAS, and they are confused mind. Even the parent and grandparents, even teachers they are confusing these students. How to make out this problem, how to redeem off, so that this can be correlated, the interest, aptitude, so that the expectation of the student can be achieved.
Okay. So, first of all, I am just wondering why somebody can't do all three. Have an interest in music, do maths, and also become an IS officer. In fact, most of them were IS officers, and I've seen many of them, people who are successful, maybe great mathematicians, and play an instrument or sing or whatever, because I think, what I'm trying to say is that everything is possible. When it comes to expectations from someone else, well, I don't think that's the right thing that we should encourage children to do. It's very important for them to know what is their own interest. And if there is an aptitude, 99.9%, there is an interest also for it. I have an aptitude. There are chances that I'm also interested in it. It's not that it has to be like that, but there are all chances. So I don't see that there is too much of a dichotomy, in this. There is a possibility that the child could really be keen on doing something and loves it, has an interest in it. And if he wishes also to be an IS officer, all three are possible. There is no dichotomy. As long as we do not pressurize the child into doing something he doesn't want to do, there's nothing wrong in anything. If the child loves it, let him go ahead with it.
Thank you.
Shambhu Nath, your question, and while Shambhu is not really in it, as in he is not in the school fraternity, but he is as if now with IIM Ahmedabad. Shambhu, I think you're there. Yeah, go ahead.
Good evening, Amrita ma'am, and thank you, Gaurav sir. As you mentioned somewhere while answering to a question that teachers are promoted to do some action research, right? And that's where I got curious that what kind of research questions you promote so that teachers do some kind of action research, and how does it help in the teaching, learning, and pedagogical improvements? So can you put some light on that?
Right. So we trained our teachers on doing action research. We had an agency from outside come look into, I think you would know better, but I'm just trying to say, look at a problem in a class. Now, a problem in a class could be a child who is not opening up, child who suddenly started, differently behaving, a child who has a learning disability. There could be any issue, right? Which you can see in your classroom. So rather than looking for very lofty things to research on, we just tell them that while you're there as a teacher taking care of this class, if you've spotted a problem, then this is what is your case study. This is what you need to be working on. So they continuously keep working on the child that is a case study for them in the class. They have been taught how to, observe, document, keep looking at the progress of the child. and then to keep measuring in a very informal way. See, when we talk about action research in a classroom, we're not talking about research in the way that you're talking about a doctoral research, for example, right? So then if you really see that your child started from a particular point, where has the child improved and gone, you're supposed to document. Seen the improvement in some form of informal assessment that you've done of the child. And if you've noticed that there has been success, for example, a child who was absolutely quiet, cocooned, didn't really speak up, because there must have been certain issues which you're trying to work on, and the child does open up, does trying to socialize, does start speaking, you can see improvement in the child's behavior and his performance, then it is a success for you. What is it that you have done? You need to document, and you need to be speaking about it in the journal.
And ma'am, there must be some support system also, because we do not expect teacher to be kind of action researcher, right? So is there something like that, so that we can learn?
I don't know if there is a action research in our education, school education terminology would mean very simple acts that you do for research on small problems. So the teacher gets no such support.
Okay.
She does it on her own. The only support that we give her is training on how to do it.
Right. It's wonderful. I see all kind of innovation starting from action research itself in school education.
Yes, absolutely right.
To your question, thank you, Shambhu. And in fact, Shambhu is a PhD at the IIM right now, and he's working on those, and there is a chances he'll work with us as well on this, basically. Tripti, your question then, which is Pooja's your question. Final one.
I'm going to make it. Thank you very much, Mr. Gauraba. This is just a fabulous opportunity. Ma'am, thank you so very much. Extremely enlightening session. Needless to say, begun the year with a bang. So much that we can take away. Thank you again. My question is that, just as we have every ability child in classrooms, we also have every ability teachers. What are the two things that come to your mind, on top of your mind, where I can build agency in teachers? How do I build? See, we talk about building agency in children, that they need to learn because they're doing it for themselves and it's going to be for them and they have to enjoy the process. How do I motivate my last denominator, the teacher who's otherwise very content? She's happy where she is, but she's not doing beyond. When I hear your voice and I hear your passion, I feel you, because that's how I am. And we've brought in a lot of beautiful ideas that you gave us today. It's so reassuring that we are using so many of these. So I'm very grateful that when we bounce off similar ideas, we know we're all on the same path and we're surging ahead, no matter which geography we are in, and that is very reassuring. But I still have a challenge with building agency in my teachers. So if there is one or two things that you've successfully done, and if you could share, I'd be very grateful. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gauraba.
Right. So, Tripti, I think that's a brilliant question, because I think we'll all agree, and I could hear it in your voice, that it is the teacher who's the main catalyst who will make all the difference. So if you've actually, done it with the teachers, you've done it all. Believe me, they make all the difference in a school. So what do we do? I think one, you have to start from the recruitment part. Are you recruiting the right people? Sometimes our recruitment process is not right. We don't have like-minded people. Somebody may be brilliant. I don't want to take that away, but you're just not made for the kind of institution we are running. Okay. So if you're not, if you don't go with my vision, when I say I mean my institution's vision, is not anything personal. If my institution's vision is not your vision, it's better that you're not there. And this is an exercise we keep doing with our teachers as and when, because if somebody says, look, I don't like this idea, we can have a discussion over that, but finally you have to align with the institution's vision. And the institution won't change for you. You will change for the institution. So I think that's one very important point. Do we have the right person on board? Okay, one. The other thing is, when the right teacher is on board, it makes your life much easier because they're sold out to your ideas. They are sold out to what you want to do. They're probably as excited as you when it comes to implementing new things. And with the way the education space is changing
Mm.
so quick, you can't be laid back and say, it's fine, I've done it all. I don't think we can ever do it all till we leave the space completely.
No.
Till whatever time, even if I have 2 years left for my retirement or 6 years left or whatever, till my last breath, I have to keep doing because I owe it to my kids. That was a little bit of a personal thing. But, anyways, so the other thing is when you have your teachers, the right teachers with you, they need your trust.
Yeah.
For that, you have to invest in them. You have to tell them that you are the one that's going to make all the difference, and therefore I'm going to invest my time, money, and effort in you because you're going to make that difference. So when you invest time, money, and effort, you also tell them that I trust you to be the catalyst of my school. So unless and until you don't do the investment, then give them the space to innovate. They need to try. They can, most of the time, I think they're pretty successful. Even if they fail, it's okay.
Still
Because
alive.
once you've trained them and you don't give them the space to perform, it doesn't work. So I think you really need to invest in them and give them space to perform. And last, what you actually said in the beginning, recognize them because that's what motivates them. So you need to have all this in place for your teacher to be the most charged individual in your in your school. If the teacher is charged, the whole system is taken care of, believe me.
Yeah, I agree, ma'am. I agree. I'm just, I'm so excited when I hear you say all this. Do we really have the privilege to keep the best? That's another. The reality is that they come when they walk through the door. There are times under duress we still have to employ people, teachers.
So Trupti, I'll tell you something. That's something which is with everyone. I tell
Mm,
my principals always, check for attitude, not aptitude. Aptitude I can build, attitude I can't change. So
true,
if you have the
true.
right attitude, you'll build the aptitude. Don't get worried. And I'm telling you, we've done it. We've done it and it works.
I know. I'm taking so much of inspiration from you. Thank you so much.
Final question, thank you, which is Pooja Pandey. Your question.
Good evening and Jai Hind, ma'am.
Good evening and Jai Hind.
Thank you for this wonderful session. Ma'am, I have a question. As you were explaining, one of the priorities of a leader to self-assessment. So one question strike at my mind as how can teachers avoid bias while evaluating their own teaching and leadership practices?
Yeah, there could be an element of bias, but I think if a teacher realizes that that bias is not going to help her in any way, it's probably something that slowly will go away. Now, technically, how do I take away this bias? It is not only left at self-observation or self-assessment. No. So, in fact, you're from the Sunbeam system. I can see that you're from Balia. So,
Yes,
when
ma'am.
you'd be having training soon on this. So, when you do self-assessment, after which you'll also have your academic heads checking out on what you've done and letting you know whether you've been a little biased or you haven't. So it is not that it is only you who will assess and we leave it at that. But an academic head is not sitting on your head every day to assess you. That's something you're doing for yourself. In the
Yes,
middle,
ma'am. That
sometimes she
only.
will intervene and she will see whether your self assessment has been right because self assessment also needs a little bit of guidance and a little bit of course correction. That's also important.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Perfect. With which we come to close this session, in fact, right? And I think what Mrs. Burman said, Trupti, just to add to it, actually hire for attitude. This is actually a non-negotiable. Somehow, I know it's a difficult task when you're hiring more than few people. At the same time, globally, there are some very great examples. I think people also should consider working out their teachers' career pathways, in fact. So somehow that planning doesn't happen and teachers are usually are possibly asked to do it themselves for that matter. But if you as a leader start doing that for them, maybe their affinity towards you or the trust towards you will be far greater for that matter, right? So thank you, Mrs. Burman, but this is not about what I was thinking. But what a lovely session. I think people stayed all throughout, and we are getting so many comments which I have now stopped even reading because there are many of them. But truly a great start, as I think Trupti pointed out, which is a great start to the new year. And I think you were the best person to do this for us. And thank you very much. Everything, in fact, everything is so practical, so doable. And it looks as if, oh my God, I was also thinking on the same lines, right? But the difference is that who does it? That's a real litmus test. And I believe Sunbeam has done it. And obviously because of the leaders who are there, and fantastic job, in fact. And I'm sharing this completely off the track. Sunbeam is not just an institution in one of the regards. I follow them on the quizzing path also. And I was sharing this during our national finals this year, that earlier, the mecca of quizzing used to be in Kolkata, or at times in Chennai. At least in my days, it was Southern Belt for very good quizzes. And I made this observation that now the school quizzing mecca is actually in Varanasi. And that's because of Sunbeam. Fabulous practice there and fabulous stuff going on. Mrs. Burman is very much approachable. Anyone who has subsequent question, I believe she's very much on the LinkedIn. You can reach out to her from there on, and I'm sure she'll take out time to address it. We will send you the feedback link as well. I think someone pointed out. That's a good point. That's a good question. We'll send you this feedback link. Please do give in your feedback and areas where we can improve on. We will definitely have a look at it. And as far as this session goes, I say thank you to each one of you. Happy New Year. Have a great one. And we look forward to you in the next session. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mrs. Burman.
Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you so much, and happy learning this year.
Yes. Happy learning. Thank you. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.